I'm excited.
Why's that?
We have an apparel sponsor, Parry Athletic. Such good gear, and it's incredible. I've been enjoying it.
Bro, George came through, messaged us on the Instagram, said he's been following our program for ages. He's getting stronger and more mobile, and he's got this cool gear company called Parry, and he wants to send us some stuff.
And he told me that his mission was to create the best pair of training shorts ever.
Yeah, he wanted something that he could lift and roll in, and that could accommodate thick, muscular thighs and hips.
And that suits us.
Speaks to us.
Also, what I like is I love the colorful design. It actually looks really cool.
I am the most colorful dude on the mats these days, hands down.
Yeah, you get that kind of expression feel. A lot of other jiu-jitsu gear is kind of a bit boring.
Yeah, it's
By
all like
comparison.
grays and blacks and shit. This stuff is the color and the vibrancy.
It makes you stand out. And I think the thing that I've loved about it is just it feels good. It feels good. It looks good. And you, ladies and gentlemen, can get a discount when you go to checkout. If you go to parryathletics.com, when you go to checkout, put in the code Bulletproof20 and you get 20% off. Oh, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Bulletproof for BJJ podcast. Before I kick off, I just want to give a quick shout out to our good friends at Parry Athletics. You may see me wearing this adapted Pride logo, Parry. This oversized, gargantuan thing.
Drippy.
I'm just getting bigger. Yeah. Nice. Just want to give them a shout. Love those guys giving us all good stuff. Had a weird conversation the other day, Joe, and this was about injuries. And it bothered me because I think this behavior is prevalent in jiu-jitsu and we need to cut it out. Ignoring injuries. And why is ignoring injuries so bad? Because
what was the conversation?
the conversation was a person goes, oh, I'm always injured. And I'm like, oh, okay. It was at a tournament. And then they went and competed. And they were, I just hurt my elbow and I popped my ankle. And I was like, oh, God, that's bad. I was like, very sympathetic because injuries suck. And then I said, have you done any rehab on your previous injuries? No. Okay. Right. Have you thought about seeing a physio or whatever? Nope. No, I'm not going to do that. Okay. That's strange. Have you talked to your coach about it? Because some people get injured, and my coach has been encouraging me to like maybe do some weights or like get a bit stronger, but I don't do gym. Okay. So I literally said this kind of half jokingly, but I said, so don't do anything about it and just keep getting injured? And they're like, yeah, pretty much. Like straight face. I'm like, you can't be serious. Surely, like, this person's pretty young. Right. They're like early 20s. And I said, but couldn't you hit a point where you're so injured you can't do jiu-jitsu? Yeah, but I'm not at that point. But it's not far off, man. You told me you got 4 major injuries. You're just getting more. And it made me really think that there's many people, we carry injuries almost like a badge of honor. And we've talked about the similarities between CrossFit and in jiu-jitsu in the sense of like this go hard mentality and I ruptured my ACL, but I'm still
Never got it reattached.
but I power clean with the best of them. This is actually a victim mentality. It's almost like the drama cycle where you keep yourself in this cycle of complaint, failure. You've always gotten out because you're always injured. This is bad. This is not just a bad habit. Psychologically, this is a terrible place to approach life from, which is essentially blaming external factors, which are not external. It's under your control. You could change it. And I think we need to talk about it because it's fucked up.
I mean, I've had that conversation so many times, and I, being who we are, just like, we can't go anywhere with this chat.
No, it can't go any further.
Yeah, like I got nothing to offer you, man. But I guess I think it's a huge badge of honor, right? The injury thing, like, oh man, like people love to carry that shit like it is. And sure, there is a case somewhere that there is something honorable in you copping bumps and bruises from this thing that you do because you do this thing that's hard.
Sure.
That most people won't do.
Yeah.
So in that way, I'm like, sure. Like, it is a badge of honor to an extent. However, I think leading with that in a conversation is kind of lame. But tell me, like, do you think it's the victim thing, or do you think it's do Do you think someone just like kind of gets off on like that sadistic sort of, I'm so like my body's a mess. I love it. You know what I mean? People love that kind of I don't know what the word is, but.
No, I mean, maybe. I mean, I think if you do jiu-jitsu, you're probably a bit masochistic.
Masochistic, that's the word.
You're into suffering.
Yeah.
You've got to be into suffering to a certain extent because there's so much difficulty inherent in doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu for an extended period of time, for sure. The reason why I say it's victim is if you ask somebody like how you're going and all they do is complain, then that's a lack of perspective. That's their inability to see what's good about their life or what they do. And then if you ask someone, well, do you take responsibility for why your life is shit? They will generally not. No, well, this person did that to me and I got over and and all the fingers point outside when in truth, your enjoyment of your life is kind of up to you, and really even people in worse situation than you are doing better. And the reason why I say this is if you're drowning, you can't help anyone else swim. You know, you whether that's financial or it's physical or anything. So I witnessed something the other day which is pretty intense, which is somebody who was not very physically able and their child ran out. And they're like, stop. And this kid's like, I don't know, whatever, 2. And could have run in front of a car, but didn't, fortunately. But there was no way that person could physically chase their child down. And that child could have definitely gotten hit by a car. So anyway, why is this a problem? If you are like really chronically injured and you're ignoring it, not only is your own enjoyment of life, decreased, how can you play with your kids and how can you do your job? And if you're in pain all the time, you're going to be a miserable of a human to be around. Like, we all know plenty of people who are not injured, who are just whinging, complaining motherfuckers. They're not people you want to hang out with, in truth, And so in the name of making your life better, helping others, just improving life in general, ignoring this is a big problem. And don't get me wrong, I'm proud of my cauliflower ears. The injuries I've had, I've used as learning experiences. I try not to repeat them. But I think there's a problem with the honor of, I didn't tap. Well, you're stupid. That's an ignorant thing to do. Taking physical damage because, I just didn't want to tap. It's not the World Championship final, Like, it's not even in the name of anything greater than yourself. It's just pride. And we always talk about humility and leave your ego at the door, but there's this real conflict in the idea of taking the injury in the name of being a warrior.
Yeah.
But then also keeping the injury in the name of the badge of being a warrior.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think, how do you think about it, Joe? Because we obviously, there's always someone in the gym who's just chronic up.
To that injured person, I see a couple of different sort of characters. There's plenty of people who are all up, bodies riddled with injury, but also don't really complain about it.
Oh, true.
Right?
Yeah,
As in they're just like, I'm a mess, mate. Let's roll. And it's like, I think for people like that, they like need pain to feel alive. And it's just like, hey, the benefits of this thing outweigh the drawbacks.
Sure.
And you're like, that's a fair trade, right? If the value is good for you kind of thing. Mm. The people that sort of whinge about it, I don't know. Yeah, I just find them, I do think that's a victim mentality, and I think it's really hard to cop because there's shit that you can do, and we hold on a podcast about it, but there's so much shit that you can do, and taking responsibility for yourself in everything you do is, I believe, is
crucial.
It's just what an honorable person should do.
Yes.
You should just be able to look at yourself and go, yeah, my behavior is not great there. I'm going to improve that because that's going to help me and everyone around me be better. I hate that. Though jiu-jitsu culturally does have in it some kind of, like, I think jiu-jitsu as a whole has that. It has that culture built into it of like, we don't say it overtly. Like, it's not an on the surface kind of thing. Like, don't fucking tap and cop injuries and be a warrior about it.
Yeah.
But we do it.
We do.
And it's somehow it's rewarded sort of inherently in the culture?
Well, toughness is rewarded, right? You don't want to be soft. Like we're doing a contact. We're doing a full-on physical contact combat sport of sorts, right? So even though people would say, oh, jiu-jitsu's soft, it's not. We're trying to break each other's joints.
I mean, only Sambo guys and wrestlers say that. And I don't know any of them. So quite frankly.
Those guys. I do know some of those guys. Shout out Sambo community and also the wrestlers.
I'm actually a level 1 Australian certified Sambo coach. I just want you to know that. I attended a 2-day workshop.
What?
I attended a 2-day workshop.
How have you never brought this up before?
I have. So there was a guy, a Russian guy named Dmitry.
Okay.
Little dude.
Sure.
A little ball of energy. Classic Russian accent. Like just cool guy.
Yep.
Turned up when I was a blue belt, I think. Turned up at the gym that I was at, the dojo.
Right.
And was like, I am here to build Sambo community here in Australia. I am running coach's course. Bring all of your students to course and you will become and my coach was like, well, we might learn some cool takedowns or some shit. Let's go. And so we paid like $150 each or whatever.
Yep.
We did this 2-day thing. They taught us some shit and then we got a certificate. It's like, you are now level 1 Sambo coach.
Nice.
And I think he held a couple of comps and now he was trying to like start a fire. You know?
Get it going.
And evidently didn't really go anywhere. But you know, one of the great New South Wales Sambo coaches is still here. Cool, eh?
That's interesting. It sounds like a money-raising scheme, but that's fine. Sure, keep your certificate.
They don't break fall. That's what I remember.
All right.
They don't break fall. He's like, no, never break fall. He's like, he said, fair point. He's like, if someone's throwing and you put your arm out, you're going to snap something. When they go down, they just ball up. No, don't. He's like, if you're telling me, I just ball up and just eat the ground.
Okay. Yeah.
I think both approaches have merit.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think judo people have been practicing falling longer than Sambo. Judo is older, and people who are good at break falling don't post. It's a little bit different, but that's fine. Let's get back to getting injured. This is what I want to say. I think jiu-jitsu does reward toughness. Right?
DM for privates.
if you know, and I think we all need that. Having a degree of toughness is crucial, and being in a culture that rewards being tough and not shying away from the hard thing is great. But this is where I feel it is a problem where, and Hodger Gracie had spoken about this. There's people who practice being tough, and they are tough. But then there's people who practice being good.
Yeah, trained to be good or
trained to be tough. Yeah, you know, and it's this idea that
spoke to me.
Being good is actually about learning and being in bad positions and not winning all the time and not, you know, and exposing yourself to things which encourage learning and improvement. Whereas tough is just about don't lose.
Yeah.
Don't tap. And the thing is, there's a critical point at which the toughness...
Do you put yourself in any bad positions when you train at Absolute on the weekend? Voluntarily?
Only against blue belts. only to style on them. I'm like, yeah, you can look, you're in full X guard. Oh, you think you're sweeping me? Front splits, spin, back take. See you later. Yeah, no, I not against brown and black belts.
Yeah.
No, not at all. You can't. I don't think I'm not good enough. I can't just be like, yeah, look, you do whatever you like. No, it's not like that.
Fair point.
Well, I probably unintentionally put myself in bad positions. I'm like,
I wanted to work on this anyway.
I was working on my guillotine defense. Thanks, Mikhail. I did get guillotined by Mikhail.
Yeah.
But I also did footlock him. So,
well, you know, Mikhail messaged after one of our episodes where we're talking about some upper body, some choke. That, and I was saying it's really hard with short dasses.
Yeah, and
I'm like, just doesn't work for me, man. Like short arms, I don't think, you know. And he texts through, he's like, they work on short arms. Just FYI. I was like, fair point.
Yeah, technique. But mind you, he does has incredibly strong arms, so maybe it's a squeeze thing too. No, I think when we're talking about this toughness thing, it's not tough or it's not strong of you as a person to complain about your own choices. You know, you chose that. And a lot of people are under the impression that, no, that person injured me. Well, yes, sometimes there's some wild stuff that happens in a roll, but if you didn't tap and you could have, it was your responsibility to tap sooner.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, if you're tapping and the person cranks and pops something, that was wildly outside your control. But what is inside your control is going to the physio, following the rehab, getting strong and coming back. Having injuries that just drag out over time is you neglecting to look after yourself. And look, this person I spoke to, it could be a self-esteem thing, right? It could be that they don't get the love or they don't get the attention. So they feel like, oh, me complaining about my injuries gets me attention or empathy or whatever the fuck it is. But for me, it gets a big dose of contempt. Even though I hit it very well at the time, I was like, oh, that's terrible. Please never talk to me again. I didn't say that. But I can't get on board. Like, if you're not prepared to help yourself, fuck off. Peace. I haven't got time for you. If you don't know how to help yourself, but you're seeking help, I can help you. But if you willfully avoid it, like, oh, no, that's just not me. I'm not someone who wants to not complain and fix my shit. Like, fuck off. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, whinging, it's kind of, that's whinging, right? Like
Yeah.
You're just having a whinge and it's a dead end conversation.
Yeah.
I think that I find it really frustrating when someone is talking to you like that and they're like, but what should I do? And you're like, well, you've just told me you're not going to do the things that are going to help you fix it. So what the f*** do you want me to tell you? I had that, I think I talked about it, I had it with the guys like, bro, I got sore knees. Like, what do I need to do? And I was like doing some warm up shit. I'm like, you do any strength training? He's like, no, I don't do that. And I was like, I think you should do this. He's like, oh, I'm not going to. And I was like, what?
Where do we go from here?
Yeah, right. So, yeah, and that's just the case of anyone that's having a whinge, right?
Yeah. But what I wanted to say is, like, why do we bring up this topic?
Also find ourselves in those conversations because of who we are. Like, just as even not bulletproof aside, just being a coach, whenever I see someone who I either went to school with, used to train jiu-jitsu with, maybe they trained at my gym or whatever, I see them, they instantly come to me like, hey, I haven't been training that much. Life just got in the way. I really should get back into it. How are you? And you're like, why did you tell me that? I got no interest in knowing about your training status.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to break. Well, the thing I get, which is a classic thing, which is they say, like, dentists, I don't know if this is true, but like someone finds out you have a profession and then they're just hitting you for free advice.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a trainer. Look, I'm trying to lose 10 kilos. And, you know, like, oh, you're a mechanic. How do you just have a look at my car? And I'm like, how about fuck off? How about I'm not on the clock? I'm not giving you advice right now. Now, admittedly, I was at a jiu-jitsu tournament and I was there in not an official capacity, but I'm always happy to chat to anyone to give them some help. I do actually like helping people contrary to popular belief. That said, free advice is not coming with any Vaseline. You know, it's not coming lubed. You're getting the advice. You're getting it raw. And if you like it, good. If you don't, it's how it is. It's free advice. If you pay me, I'll be nice.
There it is, fam. Get raw dogged by JT at your next competition.
But all I wanted to say is this. No, it's one of those things. You want free advice, you're going to get it my style. Oh, baby, I like it raw. No, I say ultimately, I am most interested in giving advice to people who will take it. Well, otherwise I'm wasting my breath. And it's
when the student's ears are open, the teacher shall appear.
Pretty much. It's very similar. But this is what I wanted to say. Summing this all up, we do reward toughness in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Like, you get kudos for being tough. But also there's a misunderstanding, I think, that continually being tough up until the point of disability is okay. It's not okay, because this limits your ability to get good at jiu-jitsu, and it also limits your ability to enjoy your life. So you've got your community and your coach being like, yeah, good on you for yourself up. But actually you're bankrupting yourself, and you end up stopping doing jiu-jitsu, and then you've got all these injuries, and what's it good for?
Yeah.
And actually
your body's not going to be any good for any other cool sport.
Yeah. You know, and so what we should do is start having the conversations like, oh man, are you still injured? What are you doing about that? You know, like, it's not like if someone tells you they're an alcoholic, you shouldn't be like, hey, you want to go for drinks on Friday? You should be like, bro, are you going to meetings? You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things that I think we actually need to have a more open conversation about. Why are we not fixing our shit?
Yep. I think there's a difference between being tough and dumb. And if
there's
you just
ride
that
line.
Toughness thing straight off the edge of a cliff, then you're being a dumb. and you know you'll have to pay for it, and it's gonna result in you having to quit. And then really, what do you have then? Versus, yeah, tough, sure, gonna cop some damage, gonna have to grit your teeth every now and again, gonna be a bit sore, but you also know the line to be like, all right, I'm being an idiot about this. Need to get that fixed. Need to be responsible for myself and do what needs to be done. And if that means tap earlier or whatever, being smart about how you roll, then that's the changes you got to make.
Yeah, and the most difficult thing is confronting the truth of the situation, which is you might have to go get a scan, and the scan might reveal that you need to have surgery, and that's frightening. Like, part of the reason why we ignore stuff or put it off is because it seems like it's too much, right? But maybe actually you go get the scan, you find out it's not as bad as you think, and then the path to you getting better is quicker and shorter than you think. So like anything we do in life, putting it off, avoiding it, this is never going to be the best way. And ultimately, if you're trying to be a warrior and tough and courageous, like, the hard thing is confronting the truth, which is you need to change. And that's often the hardest thing.
There it is. Thanks, you guys. Hey, by the way, if you got a question for us, like about how you got injuries and you're not willing to do anything about it, put it on the show. Watch JT spontaneously combust.
Go to shutthefuckup.com.
Eat a big fat dick.
I won't reply.
Go to the website, bulletproofforbjj.com/podcast. Leave us a voicemail and we'll play it on our next Q&A episode, and we'll even respond to your question.
Much love.
See you.